Well, hello, everyone. Yes, I know it's been a long time. Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at these VG diorama products, specifically the storefront. Now, the whole range of products, there's a unlimited number here. We have building facades, we have just window accessories, we have small little plinths. We're going to take a look at this brick building facade here. This is a great for any diorama, or you could put a frame around this if you want, just to hang it on your wall. All these parts are printed in this gray resin material. It's substantial. It's got really crisp details. And even in these boxes, you can see there's a lot of accessories to go with it. I didn't even use all the accessories. There's, for instance, some satellite dishes that I did not use on this particular piece. We have some gates here, some roof sections. All this just needs to be snipped up and cleaned off the build sprues, and you're ready to go. As for the VG range, well, like I said before, it's a fairly comprehensive range, all sorts of products. I recently painted up, I think, 18 of these little guys for some demonstration purposes. All of them just excellent detail. You can get them in the United States through Microworld Games. I'll put the link for the description of those guys in the description below. And you can, of course, order them direct from the company itself. And I'll also put a link to them in the description below as well. And so now let's get started with the painting. First off, I just used white primer and primed all the pieces. This will give me just a nice foundation with which to paint over. But secondly, and most importantly on these bricks here, this white primer basically puts the mortar lines in between the bricks. Now for the brick color itself, as you can see, I'm just using some, well, brick colored acrylic paints and dry brushing them across the surface. Could not be easier. Once we have the basic surface more or less covered with the dry brush method and those colors, the brick colors, I will go back in, pick out a few of these bricks individually with a little finer paintbrush here. In this case, a little darker color, just to give a little bit of focal point to some of these brick areas. I do have sort of a plan in mind here. So this building will be an old commercial building. It's in a rundown part of town. Perhaps this building itself is actually maybe abandoned, but certainly in need of repair and some cleanup for sure. So now first start off with just painting out the details. We've done the bricks. Now these trim areas, the windows around the front store facade there, the window displays, is painting this really nice, I don't know, we'll call it retail green color, just a light green acrylic color here. And before we go much further, let's dip into the blue bowl of good stuff. Now, I've used the blue bowl in the past, and usually it has dirt and rocks and all sorts of things for my dioramas, but it can also include inspiration. And in this case, the inspiration is under the big umbrella of graffiti. So this is graffiti from my hometown, Portland, Oregon here. Very nice artwork, or very nice graffiti, I should say. This is art. Some of this stuff is really wild. I really love it, but it's good inspiration. We're going to do graffiti on my building, but not quite as artistic as this. But speaking also of inspiration, I want to give thanks to my Patreons, from whom all this cannot be possible. You guys help support me. And if you want to see more videos such as what we're doing here, I do a lot of the work on Patreon these days. So a lot of video clips, nearly one a week, is dropping onto the Patreon channel. If you'd like to check that out, go on over there to Patreon. The link will be in the description below. And once again, thanks to my Patreon members. Now let's get back to the painting. So here we are with my run-of-the-mill, not so artistic graffiti. To put the graffiti onto the surface here, I am using a combination of various different tools here. So I'm beginning here with the weathering pencils. These are great because you can actually simulate the spray paint from these. Simply draw on the surface. I'm dipping the tip into a little bit of water there just to moisten the tip of the pencil itself. And as I start to draw this kind of rough skull and crossbones here, it just kind of oozes out, makes a soft edge there as, basically a spray paint effect. And then if you want to, you can have some sharper tips on it just to do random squiggles and lines. I use it again to create pictures. The hardest part about this graffiti thing, in all honesty, is just to try to come up with kind of things to do. I guess I'm not very practiced at spray painting buildings here, so I'm just kind of adding shapes and colors and squiggles. The size itself is small enough that not a lot can be deciphered in terms of what the words say, and I'm kind of using that to my advantage, so a lot of scribbles here and there. And quite frankly, Some of the graffiti out there looks more or less like scribbles anyway to my eye, so that worked out good. Along that same idea, so a little bit of upkeep here. So in areas, I'm changing the color of green slightly. Maybe they tried to overpaint the graffiti in certain areas. Using a paintbrush in other areas just to draw some little fine graffiti lines. It'd be interesting. If you read the graffiti, it says something like, no ideas, nothing to say. It really, I really kind of had fun with this, but anyway, that's what we did here with the graffiti. And then I'm coming back in over the top of things onto these wooden areas and just adding some chips here again with acrylic paints, just a nice kind of a wood color here just to lay in some chips again to kind of bring into this old abandoned, dilapidated, need of upkeep type building idea. Keep that in mind as I'm going along here. This facade, as it was printed in two halves, or I should say a top and a bottom half. So I've been able to keep those separate as I'm working on the project here. Just makes it easier to handle. But it's getting to be about that time now where I want to merge those two parts together. So the top just fits right on top of the bottom section. There's a little piece in between that's got that little kind of little balcony there. Now that little piece that I'm setting behind, that's actually extra. That's just from my spare styrene box, but it looks like maybe a closed gate from behind those walls. Otherwise, there's nothing there, and you'll be able to see straight through. It's an easy fix. You can just paint it black if you want to just black it out or whatever. Matter of fact, in these top windows, I did put a piece of black cardstock behind it and then a piece of paper with the kind of brown tone there, that little tan tone, just to look like a curtain shade, kind of half hung up in that window there. And that just blocks off the window nicely. So like I said, you don't see through just to the, space in behind the building. And now just working on some of those trim details, aging it out with some washes. Those were enamel washes. Now some fun parts here. These are the gouaches. Now I know you may have seen these already, not really sure what they are, how to use them. They are hard to explain, but let me give it a shot and basically watch and you can kind of see what they do. They are a combination of oil paints and acrylic paints. So they're acrylic in nature, but you can manipulate them much closer to how you do an oil paint. They're wonderful for weathering. They are somewhat translucent or transparent, but they can also be built up for creating effects or more thicker or opaque effects. So it's really how you want to work with them and how much you want to spend in doing this. I'm finding them on this particular piece really helpful to add to some of that staining around the windows, some of those dark stains. And in this case here, I'm going into the white and just kind of building up some of those, that mortar in between the bricks. Sometimes you get those where they kind of leach out a little bit and it kind of stains over the tops of the bricks. And I'm going to use these gouaches to kind of do that. Nice thing about these I can add a nice patch of white there, clean out my brush, come back with a clean damp brush and just wipe off the face of those bricks. So now I've got that mortar just kind of reinforced behind those bricks there. Really versatile. The gouaches are really versatile to work with. I'm finding all sorts of different things I can do with them. And as a matter of fact, as we move kind of up the building here to the second floor, I wanted to kind of pronounce that kind of a dreariness here. So I'm using this green color and adding some of those stains there, that kind of greeny, moldy kind of stain. And again, just perfect for this. You can add it in, pull it back, add some more onto it, just really, really refine the details. So highly recommend this new little fun tool, the gouaches, to work with. And as you can see, this is actually starting to come together now. We're basically nearly finished here. So a few extra details. I've added the downspouts and the gutters to the roof line here. Again, coming back to the gouaches just to add some rust stains and some kind of grungy gunk stains on this. And you can see they weather up very nicely there. And this will get us pretty close to the end. There's an AC unit that I added to the front of the facade, also included in this kit. I did a little bit of plumbing by myself, just added a few pieces of tube in there just to kind of detail that up a bit. The chimneys on top. And like I said, there's a few other items that came within the kit that I did not use, like a TV satellite dish, and I can't remember what the other ones were, a couple of fuse boxes and things like that for the front of the building. Anyway, VG Diorama is this product range. They're wonderful to they're just really wonderful to work with and build with. Links in the description below and how to get a hold of them, and also links in the description below if you want to see more videos to my Patreon site. So to everybody who watched this, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.